to Elektro Vox. We are again at Resistance Festival, and I have Jay Taylor of Jay Dead with me. Now, Jay Taylor has literally just done his second ever live show with Jay Dead. Some of you might know him from bands such as Tisky Luda. He's just done an incredible set here at Resistance. So, being at Resistance, what does that mean to you?
So this is my first Resistance. I've never been to the festival before. It's always been one of those that to be able to come to something like as a new artist as well. That's kind of where it means a lot for me. And I know I got a slot as a replacement for another band that dropped out, but Leighton could have asked anybody. So that's the kind of biggest thing for me, is that I'm experiencing it for the first time, and it's fucking great. And yeah, I get a nice little peg up for Jaded as a part of that as well, which is great.
So your first show was at Slime Lights,
Yeah.
which was also phenomenal. How does it feel having your first ever live show at Slime Lights?
So again, like I said, it's my first live show as Jaded. I've played there before and everything else, and there's only a very few places that have got that much kind of legacy behind them. So yeah, it's nice to be able to do that. And the other thing as well is that I have played not a lot in the UK before with all the other bands that I've been touring with, since a young age. So to be able to kind of do something in the UK and feel that I can try and get a little bit of a fan base in the UK as well is really, really nice. So again, I've got lots of connections over in Europe, and my label are German and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's nice to do it on home ground. It's a different feeling, and to have that legacy as a part of it as well I can't ask for anything more.
Okay, and your album Complicated Genocide was really, really good.
Thanks, man.
How long did it take you from the idea of putting together Jay Dead as a project to finalising and completing the album?
So it's hard to be able to kind of like put it into a section of time, so to speak, because I know I mentioned it before, is that a lot of the songs were written over the course of many like decades rather than just years. I'm not very good at finishing things. I have great ideas and I start them, but then I'll never do anything with it, and I kind of got fed up with myself for doing that for a period of time. So Complicated Genocide is very, very much me trying to be a little bit more of a lot more of a completionist. So the process of actually getting it done, I mean, I released the first single, Haunt, like pretty quickly. So yeah, I guess it was a year effectively before I had everything done, and that was including promo and album releases and getting signed to a label and all of that type of stuff, because at the time I pushed out Haunt, I only had a few things in the wings that I was working on at the time. So yeah, a year end to end for that album. And then I guess when did Vision of Time came out? So again, it's basically another year before Vision of Time came out, and then I should have a third EP later on in the year as well. So.
Fantastic. And it's quite surprising you say not being sort of completionist, because you suddenly exploded with artists that you've been working with. So we've got Technivore, you've done sort of remixes with Augur and other bands as well. So how have you suddenly become one with the industrial universe overnight? In demand?
So okay, there's partially part of being in demand, which is really, really nice, and then again, I think that happens because of like the label that I'm on. You know, in fact, I've got a really, really good kind of community base, so to speak. So I've got connections there that I wouldn't have had previously. Like, you know, like with Technovore as an example, I didn't know George before kind of going on to Infacted, and he was with Crooner, and you know, they were on Infacted as well. But my life has changed a lot over the last couple of years, and I've got more time to enjoy myself. I think is the easiest way to be able to explain it. I have life pressures just as much as anybody else, but I also know the importance of kind of, I need to do music, and I think the more I've realised that, the more of a completionist I've become. So, and the other thing as well in terms of doing collaborations as well is that I feel that it pushes me to be able to try different things, or things that wouldn't completely work with a static sort of jaded track, or, you know, singing to somebody else's melodies and harmonising with those pushes me out of my boundaries. And that learning aspect, because I'm learning a lot, I'm not, I've got a lot to learn in music, I've got a lot to learn in music production to be able to get better and better, and doing those things helps me to be able to do that as well.
I mean, that's quite a humble thing to say, because your music, for a debut artist, even though you're obviously very talented with your previous art works, is one of the best sort of things that's ever come across my inbox.
I appreciate that.
And so we've mentioned Technovore there. Technovore, I gave perfect 10 out of 10, first time ever. Pretty much half the reason of that, sorry George, is because Jay was singing on 2 of those tracks, which makes the album absolute perfection.
But George did a fucking great job. His production is absolutely...
Yes. Check out Technovore as well.
Yeah, did a really, really good job.
But yeah, also on Mentioned Effects, latest single as well, recently. Another fantastic band. I think The Human Plague was... Human Parasite was one of my favourite albums, so to have Jay suddenly pop up in like all of my favourite acts is a bit like... Okay.
and there's more to come. You know, I do stuff.
So
I do stuff most weeks, most months. There's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah. So to say you've got like a lot more to learn and sort of get better at, it's a very humble sign there.
Music production and writing is a big world, and I'm very, very lucky to be surrounded by some really, really good people. You know, so Hilga and Andreas. So Andreas played drums today, and Hilga played bass and guitar. You know, I work with them as my production team. I don't want to do everything myself. I just want to become more proficient. So everything is written by me and recorded by me. They provide that kind of finishing touch in terms of the last elements of production for it. But for a lot of people, music, in terms of that type of production, especially electronic music, you can spend all day, every day learning it and continue to learn more and continue to learn more. I don't have the time to do that. I have to pay the bills, so we all have jobs and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's nice knowing that I can learn, but I also I want to stay in that mindset of I still have to learn more, because that only helps me. Okay. If I think anything else, then I am fearful of being stagnant. So.
And briefly, you mentioned earlier about another EP coming out. Is that going to be in the same direction as Vision of Times and Complicated Genocide, or a slightly different direction?
Yeah, so and I'm going to steal someone else's phrase here, and actually it was a phrase from someone who was doing a Resistance interview, so this is kind of like coming full circle. Neurotic Fish, when they got interviewed a few years back when they played, is that, you know, they kind of got asked this question, and the guy turned around and said, look, we've found our alphabet, and I really liked that kind of saying. And I think Jaded there will always be elements of you know, evolution with it, but I'm not going to do anything horrendously different from where I am. I hope it's able to be more enhanced in a way, but I don't think I'm going to stray too far from the type of things that I'm doing at the moment, because also at the same time, and this is not from the sake again of any kind of arrogance or anything like that, is that I think what I'm kind of doing is a little bit different. Those elements of, you know, big sort of synth pop, future pop type, you know, ballads, but then I have screaming, there's lots of metal influences as well, there's quite a bit of aggression as a part of that, and I don't think you find that within that kind of, you know, sort of synth pop, future pop type bubble, so to speak.
Yes.
That's my sweet spot for me, that's where I really enjoy myself. I love listening to Depeche Mode, and then I love listening to Meshuggah, so that's kind of where I enjoy myself the most. So, and I do this for me, I don't do this for anybody else, it's a selfish thing. That's what I enjoy the most, that's what I'm going to keep on doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I remember listening to Complicated Genocide for the first time and thinking, this guy sounds like Human League 1 minute, and then he sounds Agritech the next minute, but this is incredible. So that certainly is a good little sweet spot you found yourself on. It works well.
I enjoy it. If other people enjoy it, then I'm absolutely bowled over. It's not, you know, engineered to be a particular way. I'm not trying to, from a fan base perspective, find a sweet spot. Again, it's completely selfish. That sweet spot is for me. That's where I feel more creative and sitting in my cellar, shouting into a microphone, and then, you know, putting a ballad alongside it. So,
which, you know, finding a unique sound when there's already so many sounds out there, it's a good thing to find.
Yeah.
Hey, and what's the biggest lesson you've learned from this journey of yours with Jaded?
I think it goes back to what I was saying before, is that I can be a completionist, I can be, but there's lots of moving cogs that I have to make sure that I manage appropriately. I have to continue to make sure I've got good people around me, and I do have fantastic people around me. Can't do this by myself. And I need to be able to have that mindset to be able to keep on learning, because you know, the whole kind of electronic scene is very very interesting, I think, because you from an artist point of view, you have people who are absolute sheer professionals who have done this all of their life. Their production is, you know, it can't get any better, in my opinion. You also have other people who are making fucking great music off of Fruity Loops and have done for a couple of years as a starter band, but they're still making great tracks. That doesn't mean that one end of the spectrum is better than the other. But that's, you have a lot of mixture between those two in electro and industrial and synth pop.
So as long as it's out there to be consumed, you've done a good job.
There's two things for a consideration of doing a good job, right? There's feeling like you've done a good job, because that comes from self, and then there's obviously being told that you're doing a good job. Some people need both of those. Some people just need one of those things. Most people, you know, need a good tilting balance between the two, as that kind of push and pull, to be able to be like, again, so let's use the example of what I asked you earlier. So, you know, I'm really excited that you're going to watch the show. Tell me what's shit about it, because that's the kind of push and pull that I want to be able to find that balance, and it works for everybody else as well. It's just the balances are different.
There was nothing shit about it.
We'll get onto that in a bit.
Come on. No, so last question now, because we're going to go watch the last band tonight.
Oh yes.
Sheffield. Do you have anything to say to your fans and to the people who come watch you the first few times?
Yeah, big fucking thank you. We had a lot more people than what I thought we would today. I kind of still see us as a small start out band. As I said, you know, in this scene, I think you build up a lot by doing more and more live shows. So look, if you came, you watched us, really appreciate it. If you're watching a video of us playing this, you know, we'll see you soon, because we're going to keep on doing more shows. So thank you, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jay, and thank you guys for watching. Elektro Vox.